What's up, YouTube? So, I had a lot of fun doing that Stanley Signature video, and I don't know, maybe, I don't know if you enjoyed it or not, but I went onto eBay and I went through every single CGC signed Stanley on eBay, um, just to see, kind of compare prices and see what my options were. Because I am, so next year, I get to kind of get a budget again with comics. So far, I've been saving all the money I'm getting to spend on comics per month. I'm just kind of saving it up to do a second Cgc submission. So that'll probably be sometime around January, February, my second submission. And then when I get those books back, I'm debating whether to buy comics or to go with another, like a third CGC submission. Those CGC submissions are pretty pricey, so I've got a second submission of 10 books. It's upwards of, I'm getting them all pressed too, so it's upwards of like $400, and that's pretty steep. So I've been saving up kind of my budget to do that. But giving you an update on my CGC submission that's currently being pressed. I'm gonna just show my screen here. So as you can see, I sent a 7-book submission in to CGC. One I got back, which was the Dark Knight Returns, and I'm waiting on 6 books. They're received back on October 7th, and right now 3 of the books are currently being pressed at CCS, and 3 have been received. So no idea when these are going to get back. Although I did get my Dark Knight Returns rather quickly. It was received on the 7th. I got it back on the 8th, but that wasn't pressed. It was just graded. So there, I have 3 tiers here. One in a modern tier, one in a standard tier. So I imagine I'll be getting the 3 books back at different intervals. I'll probably get the 3 currently being pressed right now back sooner, and then the 3 that are still waiting to be pressed at some point. Again, if I get them back before the end of the year, that'll be great. But if I don't, I'm kind of holding my second submission off until I get these 6 books back. And of course, I'll do the unboxing here on the channel, and you'll get to see what grades I got. I am anticipating, so I've kind of tempered my expectations. Initially, I was thinking they're going to be 9.8s across the board, but after I got my Dark Knight Returns back, which came back in 8.5 due to like a nick I did not see on the back, I've kind of tempered my expectations, and we'll just see. I'm hoping for 9.8s, but to be honest, I have absolutely no clue. I mean, I did grade them through the bag. I didn't take them out. I just don't like touching my comics. You don't know what can go wrong. And that's why I want to get these slabbed as fast as possible. Just have them in slabs would just prevent me from touching them or looking at them, because you just fight that urge to do so. And luckily I've kept pretty much my comics untouched in bags and boards for the past 20 years, so hopefully I can actually, 20 to 30 years. So hopefully I can maintain the discipline until they get slabbed, until most of them get slabbed. Okay, so we're gonna do the Stanley video. And so what I did was I went through and I picked out the items that I want to get, and I also picked out the items that were just I call them Stanley signatures. The ones that are just why people would want to own them. I just kind of like, just because you can get a book signed, it doesn't necessarily mean you should. Like, I mean, I can understand if you run into the airport and you don't have anything else on you except maybe like a, you know, like a I don't know, like a Alf comic or something. That's a story right there. Oh, I ran into him in the airport and this is all I had on me. But if you're going to take a comic to a signing event, I would encourage people to be a little bit more thoughtful. And we'll go through these. And again, we're going to start off with some Stanley signatures, and then we'll move our way into the comics that are in my would buy category. Not that I'm going to buy them, but in my would buy. And so as soon as I can save up a good substantial amount of money, because those signature books cost a lot. So if I can, once I save up a substantial amount of money, I'll probably pull the trigger on one of these books at some point. Okay. So for me, this book, it's not necessarily that the Stanley signatures are all that awful. They're not great. They're not great signatures. If I were to pick a signature, I'd probably pick the top one over the bottom one. But they're similar in nature. But this is what I mean. Like, first of all, it's not a great comic. It's looks to be a modern age book, right? 99, printed in 99. And it's an Avengers book. I mean, it's not all that great of a cover, and the person got it signed twice. Just, I guess they thought it would be twice as nice. But anyway, this is one of the more random things that I found on eBay. This one gets an F grade. Because you're just like, where's the signature? I'm gonna like zoom in on where. See, and first of all, you can't make out the signature. Like, the only reason you would, and what's really unfortunate is this is a CBCS, so they did verify it, but I mean that's a horrible signature. It just blends so well into the background. It just comes out as like scribble. You can't make that out, and I don't know why you'd want to own that book. Yeah, I feel sorry for the person that thought they were doing. They probably thought in their head, they're like, oh, I'll get signed in gold pen, and then probably regretted it afterwards, because you can't make it out. It's not clear. Yeah, this is another book that I mean, yeah, placement's not, I mean, it's not a terrible book, but I just personally wouldn't get it. And then the signature's, I guess, decent. It's not great, it's just decent. But yeah. This one's actually not so bad. I don't know why I put this on the list. I guess it's just because maybe the other two signatures just seem off, and then it's not the greatest Stanley, but it's not bad. It's actually a decent signature. Yeah, I would take this off this list. Actually, it's a decent book. This one, oh man, this one. Okay, so first of all, there's a doodle on there. That's pretty cool. But the Stanley signature itself, this is one of those signatures where they probably had to, like, he was probably doing so many signatures that he just started at some point he just started, like, you know, basically phoning it in. That looks nothing like a signature. It's a horrible signature, and it's in a place where it actually kind of ruins the eye appeal of the book. It's not a particularly high grade book to begin with. So I don't know. This is probably selling for quite a bit on eBay. I would not want to own this book at all. It has no appeal to me. But I'm sure someone out there would find this book appealing. Yeah. Again, this is one of those things where you gotta really think. I don't know why you'd take this comic. It's not really worth much. It's a glow-in-the-dark cover. Maybe you wanted like a glow-in-the-dark to see Stanley's signature or glow-in-the-dark, but all you're getting it really is glow-in-the-dark awful signature. I mean, that doesn't. Where's Stan? I mean, Stan basically looks like he just scribbled. He scribbled on this cover, and it got a Stanley signature. I mean, come on, what is that? Oh, that's a horrible book. I would not pay. I wouldn't pay $1 for that. Well, I mean, I'd pay $1, but I would not pay Stanley signature rates for that book. It just doesn't make sense. Another awful. Jeez, man. Just the placement and that signature just runs into it. I mean, you can't make out the name. The placement's horrible. The book itself is pretty cool. It's just not a signature that I'd want. So in terms of my standards, just go and watch my previous Stanley video for the standards that I'm using to kind of judge what I would want to buy in a Stanley signed book. But a lot of it has to do with eye appeal and the quality of the signature and the placement and etc. So I'm kind of going over it as I speak. So if you want to watch that previous video, feel free to. But you'll kind of get what I'm looking for through my comments. This is actually a book. Is a very cool book. Spawn number 9, first appearance of Angela. This is a book I think anybody would want signed, regardless if it's Todd McFarlane or Neil Gaiman, the two creative forces on this book, or even Stanley. I could see why you'd want to get Stanley's signature on this book. It's just a great book. I think it's a collector spec. Having said that, though, this particular signature is not that good of a signature, and it's actually quite. It's one of those, again, it's one of those signing event Comic Con signatures where he's doing hundreds and he's just phoning it. You know, he's phoning it in, scribbling, basically, and that's. I mean, that's just. I wouldn't want to have a book where that's the, that's pretty much the backdrop for the story of the signature. Oh yeah, I waited hours in line, and he went through hundreds of signatures that day, and I got one. I didn't even get to talk to him or speak to him really or engage with him. Maybe you did. If you did, you're probably lucky. But that signature tells me that he's doing some speed signing. Cool book though. Okay, here's another just bad signature. Oh my goodness, what is that? It's just chicken scratch. That's about as stankly as you can get with a signature. So yeah, and book doesn't make sense either. Anyway. Yeah, you gotta bring a more. First of all, okay, if Stan were still alive and I was able to attend a Stan signing event, I would take a Spider-Man book. The Spider-Man book. That's it. Possibly a Fantastic Four, but I don't really collect Fantastic Four, so for me, it's Spider-Man all the way. I wouldn't mind it, his signature. I love X-Men. I love X-Men, okay? Don't get me wrong. But like, I don't associate Stan I mean, obviously he was the creative force on the X-Men. He started X-Men, but what I'm saying is like, X-Men is not the title, like, that basically what made X-Men really iconic, the iconic title that it is today was really outside of Stan's creative influence. So for me, yeah, these kinds of books just, I guess they're great to have. Stanley's, any kind of Marvel content would be okay to have it on, but again, if you're gonna have him sign something, one thing in your collection, I would want it to be something where he has a connection to. Not necessarily, maybe it's something you want to have a connection to. Maybe the person that got this Wolverine signed and is selling on eBay had a connection to like Sabretooth or Cable or just this title in general. But for me, it just doesn't make sense. Okay, so another Stanley Signature. This one's actually pretty cool comic, actually. It's a Bronze Age Iron Man. But the signature is just horrible, and I don't know who signed that one on the top there. That top one's a pretty ugly signature too. It's Jim Starlin. So it's two ugly signatures by Jim Starlin and Stanley in the 9.0 graded Bronze Age comic. Well, the comic's pretty cool. This one, yeah. I think I covered this in an earlier video, but in the earlier video. Great comic, great grade. And this is exactly the kind of book you'd want to get signed. Just the signature and the placement, like in the shadows under the building right there. I don't know. Maybe that he asked it to be in the shadows so you don't see the signature, but that's just a bad signature. It's not clean at all. Yeah, I don't think this needs any. It's a great book, and we're at a prettier signature. This would be just an amazing book to have. Silver Age, Amazing Spider-Man. Not the best placement for the signature, but yeah, the book is the signature itself, and this is another instance where Stan was signing. So look at this. This is one of those comics that so basically it's a comic where recently, because you don't get these labels, they're doing these labels I think right before his passing, actually. So basically this is one of the last books that Stan signed, and if you watch my other video, I have theories on, well, they're not theories, but there's rumors and about Stan's health deteriorating, and it's linked to him doing all these events, signing events where he was kind of like just doing hundreds of signatures and sitting in one place. I mean, that, like, people don't realize how bad sitting is for your body. Like, for kids, for adults, like, sitting is just not something we do naturally. So if you're sitting for long periods of time, which I'm sure a lot of these comic creators do, so it becomes like habitual, but it's not good for the body. It's not good for your health, especially if you're an older adult, right? So Stan being forced to sit for long periods of time, even though he's done it all in his entire life, at a very sensitive age like that he was, it's not something you'd want to force an older person to do. And just that signature just tells such a sad story. That's a great book. Again, if it were under different circumstances, maybe that signature would really shine, but unfortunately, I don't get a good. I would not feel good about owning that signature. Here is another. I think I covered this in a previous video. No, maybe I didn't. This is another signature where the placement is really bad. I'm trying to get this up here, and the signature is bad. So yeah, just can't see the signature. I love this book too. This is a book that I probably would want signed by Jim Lee, since this is his first X-Men art. That's his first X-Men cover, I believe. So this is probably a book would want signed by Jim Lee. But I know Stanley's signed a lot of these X-Men's as well. So cool book to have. Just a bad signature. Yeah, not the best choice of book. And then the placement is really bad. The signature's bad. Yeah. And is that Rob Liefeld's signature at the top there? Looks to be, yeah, looks to be Rob Liefeld's signature. That's not a very pretty signature either. Maybe that's the way his signature really looks. I don't know. Maybe that is a clean signature, but those two signatures just don't look very appealing. This is a great. So it's a Amazing Fantasy 51 homage. The signature is actually in a good placement. I think a lot of collectors like having the signature right beneath the arm, right there, right? So actually, this is actually a really pretty good book, and that signature, just not the best though. I don't know if this were like the only book available, I could see myself getting it, just because of the significance of that cover. But the signature itself is, yeah, it's a pretty bad signature. I don't think I'd want that. I don't think I'd want that book. Yeah, there's another book. Black cat doesn't mean black on black, so it's got a bad signature that you can't see against a black background. You really can't make it out. The only reason you know is the Jim Stanley signature is that label there. Yeah, it's that label. You could never uncrack this comic. I mean, you technically could and send it to CBCS to verify. I guess you can uncrack it if you're sending it back into CGC, because they have all the data. So if they're reslabbing this book, you could it would come back as a signature series. So basically you could, but anyway, bad signature. Another bad signature here. Yeah, I mean, I don't want it to sound like sour grapes, like the fact that I never went to a Comic-Con where Stanley was signing to get a book signed by him. I would have loved to, but yeah, I mean, it's, again, if these rumors didn't persist as to what was going on at these cons, I think I would have a different take on these bad signatures, you know, because maybe Stanley would have signed it like this had he had all the time in the world, you know. But for some reason, I just don't think that was the case. So here's another Stanley signature, just not indicative of his, like the A is just way out of proportion, the N and the L. So this is just not a good clean signature. It's not the worst of the bunch, but it's not that clean. And then couple that with that, it's you know, I mean, it's a great comic. It's a great comic book, but it's not like a wonderful comic. I do like the fact that he signed it in the Cyclops' eye beams there. That's pretty cool. Okay, moving on. Yeah, okay, so this is Spider-Man Silver Age Return. So I personally love Dr. Octopus. He's my favorite Spider-Man villain. Just the design of those tentacles and how they've evolved over the years, how the characters evolved over the years, makes him one of my favorite. And I'm just really excited that he's going to be one of the villains in the upcoming Spider-Man. And so I think I mentioned this in the previous video. The video I would want. I'm just going to turn off my space here real quick. The comic I would want signed by Stanley would be An Amazing Spider-Man #3. That's the first appearance of Doc Ock. That would be my, like, golden grail. I think all-time golden grail. ASM #3, signed by Stanley. And having said that, this is also another great book. I think any Doc Ock book with Spider-Man there, it would be a great book to have. But the thing that makes this particular comic just unsightly is the signature. It literally looks like, yeah, it looks like a toddler just basically scribbled on this book. The only thing that was, I guess it is a Stanley signature book. It's got this label here. It's the only thing. All right, so another great book that you'd probably want signed by Stanley. And you know what? This is actually not that bad of a signature. I could see. Yeah, I think I would, if I had the money. This is a book I would buy. That's a pretty clean signature. I don't know why I put it on this list. But anyway, that would be a nice book to have, I think. Yep, just another bad signature right there. This one, yep. So another, I think this is like a reprint, right? But the only thing about this book is the signature. Signature is really, you can't really make it out. It's like right in the shadow of his arm. It's pretty bad signature. This one, Stanley, it's just signed across his face. It's not a great signature. I would get this book signed, actually. I just would have have him sign maybe across his body or something, not across his face, but yeah, just bad signature, bad placement, but a good book to have signed. Same thing, bad placement. I think I saw that book earlier. Okay, this book, I think, yeah, I don't know. I could see they're going for the silver against silver, so, and this is actually better than that previous gold cover book, but, not a great signature. This would actually be a cool book if it weren't for just the quality of the signature. Like, by now I'm sure you've seen, well, maybe you haven't, but I've seen enough signatures where like that's not a clean Stanley signature. This is a book I would definitely want. Just the signature's not pretty. That's the only thing that's barring this from being like a super great. I don't know, maybe I would buy this actually. I think I would still buy this. It's not the best signature in the world, but it's just a great comic to have it on. Yeah, such an iconic book, and it's a great cover. Oh god, that cover's beautiful. It's a Romita cover. Beautiful cover. Excuse me. Yeah, it's a Romita cover. It's a Gil Kane book, though. Gil Kane. Gil Kane did the art in the book, but the cover is Romita. This one here, Stanley. Great book. Poor placement, poor signature. Poor placement. Great signatures, though. I think you got all the creative forces on this book, signed on the book. You know, I could see myself getting this book too. I think I did search for a bunch of these, and there seemed to be a bunch. I think maybe they all did a signing event together, because there's a bunch of these on eBay right now. But not the best thing. I'd want this book signed by all these people, but with a better Stanley signature. And I think there is one at the end of this video. Yeah, bad signature, bad placement. Cool book though. Yeah, another Secret Wars 8. I don't know why he signed him between the legs of Spider-Man. Anyway, bad signature. Another bad signature. Bad signature. Oh my goodness, that's about as. I see a lot of this quality signature too, so that just confirms. This is essentially Stanley's, like, this is officially, that right there is officially his CGC Comic Con signature, and it's really just like a rushed, ugly signature. So if you're content with that, by all means, spend thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars on the book. Another bad signature. That's horrible, man. How is that Stan Lee? How is that signature equated to that? Come on. Oh man, that's just horrible. Okay, I think so. This is we're getting into my books that I would buy. So these are all the books that I would consider purchasing. Oh, so yeah, I mean, not in terms of price, but in terms of the books I wouldn't mind having in my collection. And this is another great. This is 9.8. It's the Superior Spider-Man, but I guess it looks like a variant sketch, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, Stan Lee signs it. That's a decent looking signature right there. And Excelsior. Yeah. So the one thing is, you know, in Asian culture, I'm Asian American. In Asian culture, people don't sign their name in red ink. It just foretells of misfortune, death. So that's one thing that's probably just a bad thing about this book, like a bad omen. So maybe I wouldn't want to get this book. But yeah, it's a great signature, great cover. Yeah, this is a book. So this doesn't have the best Stanley signature. In fact, it's in that silver highlight pen that I just really hate that people get signatures on. But what really makes this desirable is that Mike Zeck sketch. Look at that. It's a Venom sketch, and so, yeah, I mean, this is too rich for my blood, but I would want that book just for the Venom sketch and the Stanley signature, which is stanky, but that Zeck, Zeck sketch of Venom is just so cool. That really makes this book awesome. Yeah, that's a cool book. Yeah, this is beautiful. So if you are gonna get X-Men 1 signed by Stanley, that's exactly what you'd want it to look like, right there. Beautiful book, beautiful signature. Oh man, yeah, that's a grail right there. If you could own that. So this is a Dallas Comic-Con exclusive book, and it's a really cool signature. So it's 9.8. It's a Cgc Signature Series Stanley, and yeah, I'd get this book. It's not the greatest Stanley signature, but it's in good place. It's in a good placement, and it's good enough. I mean, that's recognizably Stan's signature, so I'd get that. This is great. Yeah, just his signature. Yeah, kind of in the middle of the book. Clean signature. It's a Spider-Man. It's high grade. I'd get that. This one is, I think, yeah, this is another one I get. It's a clean signature first and foremost. Silver Age Captain Marvel, so pretty cool book. But the only, I think, bad thing about the book is maybe the placement and the fact that you can't really see it. I mean, you can see it, but you can't really tell until you look kind of closely that it's Stanley's signature. Yeah, this is another great book. Another great Stanley signature. Somebody else has signed it as well. I'm just gonna look to see who else signed it there. So this was signed by Stanley and Chris Hemsworth of Thor lore. So the actor Chris Hemsworth and Stanley both on this book. Pretty cool. I'd get that. That's a beautiful Stanley signature. That's pretty much what you want to see in a Stanley signature right there. And is that it? Is that... I guess that's... sorry. We got more. Enough said. I think this is a book I would love to have again. Beautiful signature. You know, he took his time to write this out, put and sign it. Yeah, Death of Superman is the key issue. You know, it's a virgin cover. Absolutely beautiful book. Again, this is a book I definitely get. It's just boom. Enough said. You know, quoting one of my favorite characters of all time, Wolverine. Beautiful, beautiful book, beautiful signature. That's a Stanley signature right there, right across the top of the X-Men. Boom. X-Men. Stan Lee. Goodness, right there. Boom. That's a beautiful signature. Another beautiful signature. And pretty good, cool book too. Not the ideal book for me to get it signed on, but I love X-Men, so I just get it. It'd be a plus to get that book and then the signature on top. This is a cool book. It has Stanley's signature here coming out of the Sentinel's hand, like Ray. And it's killing Wolverine there. So that's just a cool placement. Probably the coolest, one of the cooler placements I've ever seen. The signature itself, though, is not the worst. It's also not the best, but again, just the placement in that book is pretty cool. Great cover, great placement. Again, the red ink is just the... Don't get your book signed in red ink if possible. I know it's superstitious of me, but it's just ingrained into my culture, so... yeah. Anyway, yeah, Stanley, great, nice signature, great cover. So this is a good, again, I really like this book, and the placement here is actually not bad, right over the Hulk, and the signature's clean and pretty, so this is a book I would get. By the hoary hosts of Asgard. Anytime you can get Stanley writing something other than his name, that's pretty cool. So it's a cool book to have. Doctor Strange, version cover, beautiful cover, beautiful signature as well. That's a cool book. Another cool book, another cool signature. Very nice. Oh yeah. This is the first presidential cover. My man Barack Obama. So Stanley signed this one, and it's a clean signature, blue. I like the blue touch. Great placement. Again, that's a great book to have, I think. This one, unfortunately, is not a CGC book. Signature series book. Which, you know, leads to the question, is that a real Stanley signature or not? I think you can 99.9% be positive that's a Stanley signature. That's as pretty a Stanley signature as you can get. This one I had just because of the significance of the book. So again, this is Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man #1. And if you're gonna get a book signed, again, I would prefer to get the #3 signed, just because I just like #3 more than #1. But of course, most collectors would want this book. This is the higher value book, and this is the signature you want on that book right there. Stan the Man. And you know, signing what is probably his most iconic comic book. Another great comic cover. Great signature. Look at that. That's a beautiful signature. Yeah, that's a pretty signature right there. Another pretty signature. Another great cover. This one is not a CGC graded book, so, but there's no mistaking. This is a book that would be really cool to have. First of all, it's a sketch of original art right there. Anytime you have that, or maybe no, maybe not. Maybe it's no. That's a sketch. That's a version cover right there on X-Men. Well, you wouldn't have Spider-Man on X-Men book. So it's original Spider-Man art by some artist. Also Stanley signature. So and it's raw. Look at that, not slabbed at all. So no mistaking that signature. Yeah, you could buy with confidence. You don't have to, like, certain signatures you can just, like, you can just tell. No, there's no question. In fact, what I'm kind of doing now is, I guess, similar to what those, somebody who would verify signatures does. Just look at a lot of signatures and you just kind of know what his style is. This is a book I put on because, yeah, well, it's not the best of signatures, but it's just a book I want. This one is actually a pretty cleaner signature right there. May the force be with you. So Stanley imparting some Star Wars knowledge there. Not the best signature, but again, anytime he writes something outside of his name is kind of cool. And I believe that is it. Those are all the books. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave you with that thought. May the force be with you, and thank you for watching this long video. It's 45 minutes, the longest video I've ever done. So thank you for sticking through that entire run. This will be my last Stanley Signature video, unless I get just an outpouring of like people wanting more of this. But I'm pretty much run out of. I mean, there's a lot more Stanley Signatures that I can cover, but I just went through a lot of them to pick out the worst and the best. So the latter part of this video are the best ones, and so I'll probably, if they're still available or if more signatures come up, again, I'm in the market for getting a signed book. I'm just hoping maybe some of the prices on these drop, and then who knows, at some point I may be sharing one of these books in a comic haul video. So anyway, thank you for sticking around. Again, like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Make a comment if you didn't. And stick around for, again, I'm gonna get those books back from CGC, so just wait patiently. Look for a notification on my Instagram account when I get the books in. I'll open them up and do it here on YouTube. Alright, thanks for watching.